This illustration deals with overcurrent protection devices in accordance with NEC 590.8, A as in apple, B as in boy, construction site type wiring techniques. Now notice the purpose of change was to accept a new section. And this new section has been added to address where overcurrent protective devices are reused and service equipment protective devices are used. Now, watch this very carefully. Solidly grounded Y electrical services of more than 150 volts to ground, but not exceeding 1,000 volts phase to phase, shall be current limiting. Now notice this is only, the way I read it, on your 277 480. Now to review this thing, first let's take a look at the call out at the very top of the illustration at the left side. Notice we have a transformer that's a 4-wire Y 490.8B with overcurrent devices. 1,000 volt or less phase to phase, 480. 150 volts or more to ground, 277. Then notice the neutral points at the transformer. But notice we need current limiting type devices in this case. And if you review the temporary pole there with the service equipment, meter, etc. on it, then notice that has to comply with Article 230. No wiring method less than. No installation less than. And we know 590.4A and B, Article 230, stresses this. But now once we have an overcurrent device, then we run this feeder over to the pedestal. Then we know that could be just flexible cord, hard usage, or extra hard usage, depending on the where we route it and use it. And we know that we could have a cord run on the ground, above ground, and we could couple it together up to 100 foot for a sleeve. We know that would be permitted. And 400, I believe it's 400.14 or 17 is where this is permitted as a sleeve. But it's got to be above ground, not in the ground. So those are some of the things you might want to look at. And then cord and plug connected cords is 400.7 and 240.5. And then the branch circuit you see at the top could be NM cable, type NMC cable, 590.4C. And notice your structures, the floors could be wired with these wiring methods over 3 floors, as long as you wire them in accordance with 590.C1 and your Annex E in the NEC in the back of the code. So we kind of pick up these rules, and then of course your overcurrent devices fed from that 4-wire system transformer you see there right below it. You see they must be current limiting in accordance with the definition of current limiting 240.2 and then section 445.8B, and you would pick up 590.8A and B, and you would have your rules for that. So those sections are important to me. Now let's review the driven rod, and you can see 250.50. We only have one rod, so that is our grounding electrode system. And then 250.52 says it's 8 foot in length, 8 foot into the ground. And 250.53 is what the electrician used to make that installation. So if you're gonna have any of the rod above grade, you need to buy a 10-foot rod, because you need 8 foot in the ground. That's what's important here. And sometimes our electricians do not realize this. See, I'm not talking down to anybody. I'm just saying what we see out in the field. Now let's review note 1. Overcurrent protection devices have been previously used for 590.8A. We pick up our rules there. And you know, if you're dealing with reused and current limiting overcurrent devices, that you deal with 277 480 volt systems, see 590.8 for such rules. Now, note 2 states the overcurrent devices shall be checked for impedance failure and verified if they have been properly maintained per 590.8A. Now, 70E and 200.1 with the informational note material there, it refers you over to NFPA 70B to maintain a systems. Circuit breakers, you know, fall in Chapter 17. Then you're referred out of Chapter 17 for particular ground fault protection type breakers for equipment and so forth. So keep these sections in mind so that if it ever comes up, you know which sections, I shouldn't say 6 sections, but such standards where they apply and so forth. Now, picking up the final note 3 at the very bottom, right above the caption, overcurrent protection devices. Note 3 says, when a utility is full wire, 150 volts or more to ground, but not exceeding 1,000 volts to phase, overcurrent devices shall be current limiting as required in 590.2b. And of course, current limiting for overcurrent devices can be found in 240.2 of the NEC. It defines what current limiting is and what we have to do to provide current limiting to certain types of equipment. In this case, equipment used to supply items in the for construction purposes in 590.8 A and B.